In the dead of night, when the world outside is hushed and the city breathes in slow, secret rhythms, a unique intimacy is born on the airwaves. The radio becomes a lifeline for the lonely and sleepless, a beacon pulsing through the darkness. The late-night radio host, alone but never truly lonely, becomes a confidant, a voice in the darkness that promises understanding without judgment. Listeners, cloaked in anonymity, share secrets they'd never reveal in daylight, their voices trembling with hope and fear. The show was called Midnight Confessions, hosted by Julian Croft, a voice like warm honey, smooth and inviting, wrapping around each caller with gentle assurance. Callers poured out their hearts, believing they were safe, protected by distance and darkness, their confessions drifting through the static. Julian listened, offered comfort, and built a community of listeners who felt seen and heard, even as he sat alone in the blue-lit studio. Night after night, he became a constant presence, a friend in the quietest hours, his own thoughts echoing in the spaces between calls. But this trust, so freely given, would become his weapon, a secret he carried beneath the velvet timbre of his voice. The stories shared were deeply personal: heartbreak, loneliness, struggles whispered into the void, hoping for solace. Callers believed the radio's anonymity was a shield, a barrier between their pain and the world. They couldn't know Julian was cataloging their vulnerabilities, building a map of their lives with every trembling confession. The sanctuary they sought was, in truth, a hunting ground, one only Julian truly understood. Julian's voice, so comforting, masked a predatory intent, a hunger that grew with every secret shared. He was not just listening, he was collecting, archiving the pain and longing of strangers. Piece by piece, he gathered the details that would make his listeners dangerously exposed, weaving their stories into a tapestry only he could see. The very trust that brought comfort would become the source of their greatest peril, a shadow lurking behind every word. In the darkness, the velvet voice was not a savior, but a silent threat, an unseen presence waiting for the next confession to slip through the static. Julian Croft perfected the art of being the friend everyone wished for, his voice a gentle balm in the lonely hours of the night. On air, he was empathetic, patient, and wise, never judging, always validating. He'd pause thoughtfully before responding, as if weighing every word with care. Women especially felt understood by him, drawn to his gentle affirmations. He'd remember a detail from weeks before, a pet's name, a favorite song, making each caller feel truly seen. He'd laugh softly at their jokes, share a quiet sigh at their sorrows, and sometimes, in the silence between words, his listeners imagined a friend on the other end of the line. This created a powerful, one-sided bond. Callers believed they knew him intimately. They confided more, trusting the man behind the voice, eager for his gentle approval. But behind the warmth, Julian's mind was always working, cataloging secrets, noting vulnerabilities, and subtly steering conversations toward deeper revelations. He'd offer a comforting phrase at just the right moment, or a knowing chuckle that made them feel safe. The illusion of friendship disarmed his callers, making them willing participants in their own endangerment. They offered him the keys to their lives, never suspecting his true intent. The trust he built was not a gift. It was a trap, carefully constructed with every empathetic word. The voice they trusted was the architect of their vulnerability, his own thoughts, cold and detached, even as he whispered comfort into the darkness. Julian's manipulation was subtle, so subtle most never sensed the trap tightening around them. He never asked for personal details outright, but his silences were loaded, his questions carefully chosen. He guided conversations with gentle nudges. "Tell me about your favorite place to unwind after work," he'd say, voice warm and inviting. A woman might mention her neighborhood, her job, or her routines, thinking nothing of it. Another caller, a man, might casually reveal he always jogged alone at dawn. Julian's questions seemed caring. "What part of the city are you in?" Or, "Do you have a dog to walk in those parks?" Sometimes he'd add, "Isn't it scary coming home so late?" Each detail was a thread, woven into a tapestry of his caller's life, a map of vulnerabilities. He feigned relatability, sharing fabricated stories. I used to live near there, you know. The alley behind the bakery always gave me chills, to prompt more disclosure. I always made sure to have good locks, he'd say, encouraging callers to share their own habits. Do you ever worry about that? In moments, they revealed schedules, routines, and vulnerabilities. I'm always home by 7, one caller laughed. Except Thursdays, that's my late night. It felt like friendly conversation, but every word was being recorded and filed away, cataloged for later use. Julian exploited the natural impulse to connect, turning it into a weapon. He'd say, "It's nice to know someone's out there listening, right?" Callers let their guard down, believing they were simply being human, never suspecting the danger lurking behind the soothing voice. They didn't realize their kindness and openness were being used against them, their secrets cataloged for a purpose they could never imagine. Julian's mastery lay in making manipulation feel like genuine care, his empathy a mask, his questions a net. The more comfortable they felt, the more exposed they became, never realizing the web tightening around them. He turned normal conversation into a chillingly effective tool for predation, every word a step closer to his goal. Every call brought him closer to knowing everything he needed, while his listeners, lulled by his voice, never saw the danger until it was far too late. Behind the scenes, Julian was more than a host. He was an archivist of secrets. Each night, a parade of voices reached out. A lonely retiree, a nurse working the graveyard shift, a student far from home, a single mother seeking comfort in the static. He logged every detail, neighborhoods, routines, workplaces, even pet names. The backgrounds varied, but he noted who lived alone, who sounded vulnerable, who let slip too much. His studio was an intelligence-gathering center, not a sanctuary. As he listened, his tone would subtly shift, warmer, more attentive, when a potential target revealed herself. He targeted women who lived alone, had few connections, and predictable routines. His questions grew more personal, his encouragement more insistent. Their isolation was his advantage. The more they shared, the more his interest sharpened. Once selected, he surveilled them, confirming details from their calls. The host's on-air warmth faded to cold calculation off-air. He watched from a distance, blending into the shadows of their lives. The comforting voice on the radio became a silent, physical threat. The routines that made them feel safe made them tragically predictable. Their trust had given a predator a roadmap to their lives. The pattern emerged quietly. A detective, haunted by a missing woman's journal, pored over pages filled with desperate entries about midnight confessions. One entry, circled in red, hinted at a secret meeting. Another case surfaced. A woman vanished, also a devoted listener. The board of missing faces grew, each thread tightening the noose. A tech analyst, working late into the night, connected the dots. Julian Croft's name appeared in both files. The realization sent a chill through the team. A task force formed, urgency mounting as the beloved radio host became their prime suspect. The room buzzed with disbelief and dread. They obtained call logs, matching missing women to the show's records. Each match was a gut punch, the evidence mounting. Archived calls revealed Julian coaxing personal details from his victims, his soothing tone now laced with menace. The team listened in stunned silence. Digital forensics uncovered his secret database, profiles, notes, and GPS data placing him near the victims' homes. The evidence was undeniable. The velvet-voiced friend was exposed as a predator. The betrayal cut deep. Julian Croft was arrested, his double life revealed in a storm of flashing lights and disbelief. The public was left reeling. The comforting voice was the architect of terror. Grief and outrage swept through the community. The trust he built became the evidence that brought him down. The emotional toll was heavy. The sanctuary he created was a trap, and the world finally saw the monster behind the mask. The silence in the studio was deafening. The case shattered the illusion of safety in the anonymous night. Fear crept into every shadow. Midnight confessions would never sound the same again. The darkness had a name, and it was finally spoken aloud. Why did so many trust Julian Croft? The answer is rooted in the complex psychology of vulnerability, a landscape shaped by loneliness, the longing for connection, and the subtle power of suggestion. Research shows that social isolation can heighten our need for validation, making us more susceptible to those who offer empathy and understanding. Late-night radio, with its blend of intimacy and anonymity, creates a unique environment where listeners feel safe to reveal their innermost thoughts. Case studies in media psychology reveal that women, often socialized to seek connection through conversation, are especially drawn to these spaces for support. Julian offered validation and empathy, positioning himself as a surrogate confidant for the isolated, mirroring patterns seen in other cases of emotional manipulation. The ritual of the nightly show provided structure and comfort, gradually lowering psychological defenses and fostering dependency. Victims described feeling heard for the first time, but this vulnerability left them exposed. Callers often shared secrets at their lowest moments, unaware of the emotional risks. Julian manipulated this trust, absorbing their stories while maintaining a veil of mystery, an imbalance echoed in psychological profiles of predatory personalities. He turned reciprocal self-disclosure into a one-way flow, leaving victims emotionally invested and exposed, while he remained untouched. Experts warn that predators like Julian exploit universal human needs, not personal weakness, by weaponizing trust and empathy. The women who called were seeking support, not making mistakes. The emotional aftermath for many included shame, anxiety, and a deepened sense of isolation. Julian's crime was not just in his actions, but in twisting the universal search for connection into a source of lasting trauma for his victims. Julian Croft's case became a turning point, forcing the media to confront the dangers of misplaced trust and the responsibility they hold to their audiences. Radio stations responded by tightening privacy protocols, training hosts and screeners to protect callers, and fostering a culture of vigilance. The illusion of safe anonymity was shattered, but in its place grew a new awareness, one that empowers us to protect ourselves and each other. The blame lies solely with the predator, not the victims who sought connection. Survivors have shown incredible strength, supporting one another and reclaiming their voices. Their only mistake was being human in a world that can be isolating. Yet many have turned their pain into purpose, helping others stay safe. The lesson is not to live in fear, but to practice empowerment through awareness. Take pride in your ability to set boundaries and trust your instincts. Protecting your privacy is self-respect, not paranoia. Share your knowledge with loved ones and help build a safer community. In a hyper-connected world, be mindful of what you share and with whom. A moment's caution can make all the difference. Treat your personal information as valuable. Share it only with those who've earned your trust. Teach others to do the same. Let this story spark conversation and awareness, not fear. Together, we can create a culture of openness and support. Knowledge is strength. Understanding predators' methods helps us protect ourselves and those we care about. We can still seek connection, but with discernment and wisdom. Many have found new friendships and support by sharing their experiences safely. Your story is yours. Share it on your terms, with those worthy of your trust. Remember, hope and connection are possible even after darkness.